Okay, let's do it. So today we begin the new parak, new chapter on 20b at the bottom. It's going to be a pretty quick one today. So we're going to be introduced to. So far, we've discussed things that mostly from the perspective of what constitutes a valid neder and all the languages that surround that. This parak is going to investigate things that constitute a non-valid neder, or things that do not constitute a neder on their face, if you prefer. So there are four types of nedarim that the rabbi said were not, essentially they're not nedarim, and we'll see what they are. Nedire zeruzin, an incentive or motivational type of neder. So something you say, the Mishnah itself will discuss what this means. The nidre havai, something that's exaggerated, and this will be dealt with in future Mishnayos in this parak, but meaning it's just to give you a preview, it's something that's obviously exaggerated. And clearly the person didn't mean the literal words he said. Nidre shagagos, an accidental neder. So we'll see what that is in a couple of days, few days. And nidre onsin, a forced neder, or a neder that came about through circumstances that are not under your control, which has to do with conditional nedarim, right? If you make a neder that's conditioned on something that is, if the sun will come up tomorrow morning, well, that's not under your control. Or if the stock market dives, 5,000 points tomorrow, that's not under your control. Things that are under your control, like we've seen, for example, a neder that if I eat today, then I won't eat tomorrow. Well, that's under your control. So that is not what we're talking about. Okay, so now the Mishnah will examine the first of these four. Nidre zeruzin ketza. What does that mean? A incentive neder. You're selling something in the marketplace. V'amar, so you're haggling. V'amar, and you say to the buyer, I swear, like if a neder of whatever it is on me, if I sell this for less than $1. And the other one says, no way I'm paying, no way I'm paying that little. I'm only going to pay lowest I'll pay is $2, right? A neder on me if I pay less than $2. So Shneim Rotzim b'Shlosh Dinarim, so they can still compromise, because obviously this is just a negotiating tactic. And they don't seriously mean this is the normal way that people negotiate, buyers and sellers negotiate in the marketplace. So the fact that they used the language of a neder to emphasize their position, they don't really mean that. Everybody knows that it's just a negotiating position, and they can compromise in the middle. Okay, so the Gemara says, so there are these four. Amalei Rabbi Rav Abba said, you told us in the name of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Tana Arban, who is the author of this Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar Mishum Rabbi Tarfon, because he said in the name of Rabbi Tarfon, Liolam Ein Echad Mehem Nazir. Lefi Shalom Nitna Nazirus El Hafla. And so this is the case of where people are traveling and they see somebody coming towards them, and one of them says, I'm making a neder if that person turns out to be a nazir, and the other one says, I'm making a neder if that person turns out not to be a nazir. So Rabbi Tarfon said in that Mishnah that neither one of them is a nazir, although obviously, one or the other has to be true. It's a binary case. So why do we say that? Because the whole idea of a nazir can only be if it's straightforward, if it's clear what you're saying. So making it conditional on something, even though the condition turns out to be true, excuse me, it is not a valid nazirus. But Rava, so he associates that with this Mishnah, with our Mishnah, because because in the case of the buyer and seller haggling in the marketplace, it's like it's unclear what the selling price will be. Okay, so it's a little tenuous connection here, but because it's not clear, the neder does not take effect. But Rava says if you pay Rabbanan, no, you don't have to peg it to that. You could say even the rabbis who say that the case of the if he's a nazir, if he's not a nazir, they say that one of them ends up being a nazir. And one of them ends up the condition. One of those conditions ends up being valid. And so whoever took the valid side of that condition, his neder is a good neder. Mikatame shneim ratzu. Does the Mishnah says they both agreed to the middle price in the haggling case. Shneim rotzin katame. Both are agreeable, I guess is a good translation here, to the middle price. And so it's not that they later agreed, that really they were sincere in their positions, but then they had their minds changed, right? At the time that they were haggling, everybody knows, like, I know that I'm going to go up to $1.50. I'm just negotiating, and I say, no way I'm going over $1. At the time that he says the words, okay? So there is no clarity there that this is what he really means, that like he never really meant $1. Okay, from the language of the Mishnah. So the Mishnah has said if they end up agreeing, then I could say, yeah, when he first staked out his $1 position, he really meant it, and then he changed his mind. No, that's not it. He never meant it in the first place. I'm going to read Rashi. So Ravina asks, I'm going to Tefemi seller. What if the language is a little different? If the seller says, I'm not paying you, I'm not selling you for less than a penny over $1. Okay, so it's a little different. Like if you say, no way, I'm selling for less than $1. That's what the Mishnah says. But now we're asking, no way, I'm selling for more than a penny less than $1. The buyer is saying, no way, I'm paying more than a penny under $2. Okay, so nidra havai is reason havai. So we're just inquiring by the fact that we're being so specific about a particular price, right? About a particular point in the continuum of prices. Does that mean that the person is, at the time at least, being perfectly serious? Like he really isn't going to pay more than $1.99, or he really isn't going to sell for more than less than 99 cents. So the answer to we have a Mishnah about that. Here's a parallel case. I invite you for dinner, and you say, no, I don't want to come for dinner. And I say, I'll take another against you if you don't come. The guest says takes another. Like, no way, I'm taking another, and I'm not coming in. So then, tipa sonan shanitoim, or a person says, I'm making another. I'm not even gonna have a sip of water from your house. So mutra volikanis. In Vilishtos Hemen Sanan, this is not a valid neder. You can come into the house and you can drink the water. Because really what you're worried is, like, if I come into your house, you're going to try and feed me a meal, and I don't want a meal. Okay, I'm not hungry, or I've got dinner plans elsewhere, so that's why I'm not coming into your house. Okay, but what I really mean is I want to avoid, or maybe I just want to avoid putting you out. And the same with the water. It's like if I say I'm not gonna drink the water. So what I really am concerned about is I don't want you to put yourself out and prepare me a whole meal. That's why I'm refusing the water and making that neder. Now, so the rest of the why? Atifa Solankamar, you're specifically saying a drop of water, right? You're not saying I don't want anything from you. Is this parallel to the case of a penny less than $1? When you say, specifically, I'm not going to drink a drop of water from you. No, that's not what it means. Obviously, when I said I don't even want a sip of water, that's just an expression meaning I don't want anything to eat or drink, right? I'm not talking specifically about the water. I'm talking about in general. I don't want you to trouble yourself to give me anything to eat or drink. You can say the same thing about the penny less than or more than $1. It's not different than saying $1. It's just the way people express themselves. Like, no way I'm paying a penny over $1 for this garbage, right? Yeah. Amalei, so Ravina answers, maybe not. Midame, can you compare the two cases? Gabi, so in the case where you refuse a sip of water, tzadiki momin dosin harbe, because we have a principle was in this week's parsha, I think, right? Where Rashi says that tzaddik doesn't say much but does a lot, and a rasha, a wicked person, says a lot, and does little. So when Abraham says, just come in and have something to eat, and then he prepares his whole feast, he says a little, but he does a lot, right? So haha, sveika. So in the case of the water, when I offer you water, you're thinking, oh, he really wants to give me a whole meal, and I don't want to trouble him, right? Water doesn't really mean water. Water means a banquet, okay? But in the case of the marketplace, the haggling, sveika, we don't know. Like when you say, no way I'm paying a penny over $1, maybe you really mean a penny. Maybe you're really being specific. Maybe they really mean that. No, maybe they don't really mean it. We don't know. Like maybe it's a negotiating tactic, just like $1, or maybe they're being really specific. So, and we don't have this this other principle to help us understand exactly what this might mean. So we're going to leave it as as an open question. Amri v'nem Ravasi. You just said, four types of neders in our Mishnah. They require going to a chacham to annul them, right? So in other words, that sounds like they are valid nedarim, which is the opposite of what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah says these are not nedarim, and here we're saying that you need to go to a Talmid Chacham to annul them. Kiamrisa coming to Shmuel Amar, and when I said this to Shmuel, he said to me, Tane Arba Nadarim Hitiru Chachamim. The Mishnah says that these are permitted, but Amar Tzrikin Sheil Chacham. Why are you saying the opposite? That they need to go, you need to annul them. So what are you talking about? Makes no sense. Or here's another version of the same story. Rabbi Yosef Masni La Hashmata B'Hai Lishna. Rabbi Yosef taught it this way. Amar Yehuda Rav Asi Yehuda said, Ein Chacham Rashai Lahatir Elokein Arba Nadarim Halalu. What kind of neder can you annul? Only for like this. So, in other words, these are ones that you have to annul. Not that they are automatically or that they never took effect, right? Our Mishnah seems to imply they never take effect. They're just expressions. They're not really nedarim. But this what Rav Yosef is saying is no. These are the kinds that actually need to be annulled. So that either way you read this, Rav Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda's who is it? Rabbi Yehuda is contradicting the Mishnah. So our answer is Kasavar Ein Paslin B'Charata. He's saying that a Pesach is like the opening, right? The excuse or the how you get around the neder, right? There was some circumstance that you can say, well, if you knew that, then you wouldn't have taken the neder. So by saying that you can't annul the neder unless it's like one of these four cases in the Mishnah, he means that that a Pesach, an opening, is a way to get around the neder, but charata, but regret, saying like, wow, that was really dumb. I shouldn't have made that neder. That is not a way out of the neder. So you see the distinction is like, you have to find a way of saying that if I had only known, then I wouldn't have done that. But he was saying, yeah, I knew what I knew, but man, I'm sorry now, right? That's not a good a neder. So kasavar, excuse me. Hang on a second. lost the thread here. Just give me a minute. Okay, so what is the parallel between the finding the opening, the Pesach, the way you get around it, and these four invalid types of Nedarim? It is that, like, what did you really mean? So in the case of Zeruzin that we're talking about now, where we're saying that everybody knows this is not what you really meant, right? When you're haggling in the marketplace, everybody knows it's just a negotiating position, and you don't really mean to fix it there. So the same idea applies with a Pesach, that what did you actually want to do? Well, you thought the circumstances were X, and you wanted to do it. So you wanted to make this neder in those circumstances, but it turns out the circumstances were Y, and you're saying that my mindset at the time was that I would not take a neder if the circumstances were Y. Turned out the circumstances were Y. So we're kind of retroactively saying, or not even retroactively, we're looking back in time and saying, you know what, your mindset at the time was not to take this neder because had the circumstances turned out to be what they were. Okay, whereas harata, which is regret that you made such a stupid neder, is a different story. So when you say, so even these four types of nedarim, according to Rabbi Yehuda, do require the going to a sage for annulment, and that is indeed what the Mishnah means. And what is the kind of neder that is valid? One that you have charata, the one you have regret on that. Make sense? Kind of. Now we're going to do a bunch of case studies. Person came to Rav Huna, Amalei libach Allah. He came to him to annul another, and Rav Huna said, is this what you meant? Like when you made the nether, did you mean it? Amalei lo. He said, no, I did not. I was whatever the circumstances were. Maybe I was upset. I was angry. I didn't really mean that. That's what I really wanted to do. So he said, okay, the nether is no good. Somebody came before Rabbah, Amalei, if there were 10 people there that tried at the time that tried to mollify you when you said that nether, would you have done it? He said, no, I wouldn't have made the nether if there were people there to talk me out of it. And he said, it's fine, and it's not a good nether. Tanya Omer Omrim Lo Adam Lev Zelacha. Rabbi Yehuda says the procedure for getting somebody out of a nether is asking him, is this what you really wanted to do? Or was this your mindset when you made that nether? So if he says no, then you say, okay, then your nether was not binding. Rabbi Shmuel said, we do the second way. We say if there were 10 people there that would have tried to mollify you at the time, would you have said the nether? And if he says no, materials. Then we let it go. Let's see. Now we get into a long kind of topic here. No, we got some time. Let's see if we can go on. How do you also come to Ravasi? Somebody came to Ravasi. Amalei Kadu Tahis. Did you Tahis means like Harata, did you regret? Did you regret this nether? Amalei Lo, he says no. We're interpreting this as like, didn't I tell you that? Right? I have B'Sharia, and he let him go. So this is kind of this sounds like the opposite of what it says. I'm a little confused by this because the language of the Gemara is Amar Lo. He says, did you regret it? And you say no, then you should keep the nether. But So why did he say? Why did he let him annul the neder? So maybe it's a corrupt version or something. I don't know, but by just letting this pass, that the sage annulled the neder, must imply that there was regret. How do you also coming to Rabbi Lazar? Same thing happened to Rabbi Lazar. Someone came to him for an annulment of a neder. Amalei, Weiss Nador. Do you want to have your neder have been effective until now? Amalei, Ilu lo margizin li lo b'inan klum. If it hadn't been that I was provoked at the time that I made the neder, I wouldn't have made the neder in the first place. Amalei tehei kabais. Then he says, okay, so then clearly your real desire was not to make that neder, and you're fine. The neder is annulled. There's a woman who made a neder against her daughter, meaning like I won't give you benefit from me or take benefit from you. So coming to Rabbi Yochanan, and she came to Rabbi Yochanan to annul it. Allah said, "Ilu hava yada diamran megerasach Allah debartach." If you knew at the time that your neighbors would say about your daughter, "Ilu chamas ba ima milin daziva," if her mother hadn't seen something in her that justified this neder, that she cut her off, she wouldn't have done it for nothing. So, in other words, like if you knew that the neighbors would say about your daughter, she must be a really bad daughter if the mother cut her off. If you knew that, miyadarta, would you have made that neder? Amalei lo. She said, no, I wouldn't have done that. V'sharif, so he released her from the neder. Okay, so let's stop here and leave it for David to pick up tomorrow.
Thank you, Dov. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay, you too.
Joshua Koch, thank you.
Thank you for being here.